Well, everybody, we've made it to episode 3 of the JT Puck Talk podcast. I'm Justin, and as always with me is
Thomas.
Okay, use your last name. That's fine. We got a couple good things to talk about this week. A couple trades, a big signing. You may or may not have heard about it.
Yeah, he may not be one of the best personal Leafs.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about a couple things. Last week we started off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We talked about the Jake Muzzin trade, obviously. And there's every reason to believe that we should be starting off with the Maple Leafs again this time around, but we're not, because there's a lot of Leaf fans out there who would probably, or non-Leaf fans, I should say, who would get very annoyed by that. So we're going to talk about something else to start us off today, and we're going to talk about the trade that happened between the Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nick Bjugstad going over to the Penguins.
As well as Jared McCann.
As well. I mean, that's, a huge part of that trade. It was basically Derek Brassard for Nick Bjugstad, a couple little other pieces thrown in, a couple draft picks, and Jared McCann, as Thomas just mentioned. But that was the trade, and Nick Bjugstad was in the lineup for the Penguins game on Saturday night. Thomas, what were your first opinions on that trade?
I think it's a trade that frees up a lot of cap space for the Florida Panthers in the offseason, as Brassard and Cheyenne are both UFAs. So, and I think Pittsburgh wanted to acquire some contracts back with some term. They have to sign Jared McCann up in the summer. He's an RFA. But I think Bjugstad will help them in the long run going into the playoffs. He's a big body, and I think it's just a trade for Jim Rutherford and the Penguins so that they have players on some contracts, light contracts, so they can go into next summer and next summer after that.
I was actually kind of honestly shocked that the Panthers also got a second and 2 fourths in this trade. I almost thought that Brassard and Cheyenne for Bjugstad and McCann almost sounded pretty good already at that. But for the Panthers, I think the second round pick, which is a valuable pick, right? I think that honestly makes me think the Panthers win this deal. Now it's up to, we don't know if Brassard's going to fit into their system. Is Brassard in an expiring contract?
Yeah, he's expiring.
Okay, so he's expiring. I don't think Bjugstad is.
No, Bjugstad's one more year left after this.
Okay, that's probably why the second round pick, because Brassard is more of a rental, which is honestly a bit surprising because I don't think the Panthers are going to make the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination.
If they go on a big stretch.
They did. I think they did. Was it last year or 2 years ago? They went on some massive last month of the season stretch, and they almost squeaked in. Again, that's not really the motto I would want to use in my franchise, is to stay afloat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, try really hard in the last month of the season and win a lot of games. So, interesting to me why the Panthers would trade for Brassard on an expiring contract when you would typically think of them as more as sellers. The second round pick they get is going to help them in that quest in maybe making,
rebuilding.
I wouldn't say rebuild. They don't
getting more draft picks.
More draft picks. They're not a playoff team quite yet. I don't think they have the goaltending, and I don't think they have. They might have the defense. Keith Yandel is an all-star, but is he an all-star?
He's a solid defenseman.
He's a solid defenseman. Ekblad is good, but he's not what they envisioned the number one overall pick being. The defense is okay. Their forward group is really good. You look here.
Very strong, very strong.
They're not paying a single forward above $6 million a season. And that includes the names Alexander Barkov and Jonathan Huberdeau. 5.9 each. Barkov's got 3 years left after this season. Huberdeau's got another 4, both under $6 million. So you're thinking you got two guys who, if they were to get new contracts today, Huberdeau would probably be around 7. Barkov, honestly, could be around 9 to 10. He's an
solid
elite
centerman.
He's an elite franchise centerman.
He's the captain.
You have two guys for another 3 years, at least on really good deals. You guys need to be going out and trying to spend. I know they don't have all of them. They can't spend to the ceiling. You say that, but they've already projected to spend $76 million this season. They only have $3 million left. They're basically spending the cap. They basically are. Aaron Ekblad's making 7.5.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, in the long run, it could be worth it. But now,
he's only 23.
Yeah,
which is you don't know what he's going to be. Keith Yandel's got 6.3 for another 4 years.
I mean, he's 32, right?
Take him to 36.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Matheson's got a really good deal. 24 years old. He's at 4.8 for another
6-7 years.
6 years, I think. After the top four, it gets kind of thin. thin, excuse me.
Yeah, it doesn't have a very good sporting past.
Right? Like, it's not great. And obviously, James Reimer and Roberto Luongo both have, 2+ years of term left on each of their contracts.
Yeah.
And both of them are not nearly playing up to a starting goal. Luongo's going to be 42 when this contract expires.
Yeah, he's
my lord,
definitely tailing off in his career.
4.5. They can. I don't know if they can trade that contract.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, I think what people are saying on Twitter is like the trade was basically just to free up cap space for next summer to go take a run at Panarin or Bobrovsky. They need a goalie. Might as well go for Bobrovsky. Try and trade one of the Reimer or Luongo.
Bobrovsky may want to come to the Sun in Florida. But then you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? So they get Nick Bjugstad, $4.1 million on his contract for the next 2 seasons after this.
Yeah.
So he's not a rental by any stand. He's actually got 2 full years left, which is good. But, I mean, they're still in a win-now mode, obviously, right? You got your 2 franchise superstars, 32, 31. They believe that they can still make the playoffs. Well, they are going to make the playoffs. I shouldn't say that. They still believe that they can win a couple more Stanley Cups with this team of Malkin, Crosby, Kessel. Now Bjugstad and Tanner Pearson get thrown into that. They don't have a lot of UFAs this year. Matt Cullen being one of them. He might retire.
He was going to retire 2 years ago when they won the Cup.
They're basically just going to have the exact same team next year. Their only expiring contracts are Matt Cullen, Teddy Bluger.
Latvian.
Yes, Latvian. Juuso Riikola.
Yep, you said it right.
Did I?
You said it right.
That's actually
the first.
That's just surprising. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. They don't have a lot of expiring contracts. All their guys are basically in for another year. So they basically have the same team again next year unless the cap goes up a couple million and they can free up the space to get maybe another player. Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Hornquist, Bjugstad, Pearson, Rust, Gensel.
Yeah, Gensel just got locked up $6 million for the next.
That's not that. It's still not a bad by any. It's actually still a very good offensive group.
It's a very good offensive group.
Brian Dumoulin, Letang, Mata, Jack Johnson. Still a fine defensive group. Matt Murray in net for another
Matt Murray's
season
injured right now, so
3.75 next year. Yeah, they can still win a cup, in my opinion. I think that they can have the experience to do it.
Just got to stay healthy.
And I think this Bjugstad trade just kind of implements the fact that they just want guys. They don't want to have any expiring contracts and have to fill voids in the summer. They just want to make sure they can take care of their problems now. I don't think that Bjugstad's a massive upgrade over Brassard. Maybe Bjugstad's more comfortable in the third line role, where Brassard was probably unhappy with the ice time he was getting, and he was probably looking to move up.
Yeah, he's not a third line center anyways. So
I don't honestly know. I'm not going to make things up here. I don't know if Bjugstad has any experience on the wing. I think that for them, a third-line center with experience on the wing is the ideal position because if someone gets injured on the wing, you can slide them up and play with Kessel, slide them up and play with Malkin. And if everybody's healthy, you can have them as a third-line solid center and play with whoever you get, which at this point would likely be Jared McCann and Dominique Simone.
Doesn't seem to be the case. Malkin's day-to-day, so they shuffled the line as our own.
I'm looking at in the playoffs when ideally you'd be when you're constructing a team, you can't construct a team based on injuries. You got to construct them on what is our team at full strength, and then we'll move on. Now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt to have the backup plan of saying, okay, if Bjugstad needs to move up into the top 6 and play on the wing of one of our 2 superstars, he can do that. And if we're healthy, he makes a 1-2-3 down the middle punch. That's extremely strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the move by the Penguins. The Panthers kind of surprised me at first. The second-round pick is very appealing. Brassard as a UFA, they're going to try to re-sign him. I think Brassard hits the market, and we will see how it goes from there. Any more comments, Thomas? I talked a lot in that whole segment there.
No.
Give us some thoughts.
Well, the Penguins are injury trouble right now. Matt Murray just went down. He's day-to-day with a upper body injury, which he's had for the last 2 years, so that's not very good. Malkin, day-to-day. And Justin Schultz been on the IR for 3 months now.
Ever?
Yeah, so, I mean, they're a good enough team. They're going to go in the playoffs and do some damage, I think. But at the end of the day, they can shuffle our lines around and make it work because it's the Pittsburgh Penguins. So
Penguins always find a way to make it work. Everyone will go. Honestly, people will probably doubt them in their first-round matchup. Oh, they're probably the underdogs, and they'll probably win it. And they'll probably play Washington in the second round like they do every single year. It's going to be a great series every single year, and they may actually win it. All right, we hit the 10-minute mark. Like, literally, we just hit the 10-minute mark.
We did, yeah.
Let's just
the big news.
Stop with the
it's
small.
The big news.
Let's
now?
stop with the small talk. I mean, like, for all you non-Leaf fans out there, I hope you enjoyed the first 10 minutes because you probably won't enjoy the next 10. For Leaf fans, welcome for tuning in. This is JT Bug Talk podcast. Let's dump it. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, there's no surprise here. I mean,
no, I'm just gonna set up. You want to just break it down a little bit?
All right, Austin Matthews, 5-year contract worth $11.634 million. You can't forget about that 3-4, number 34.
He just flexed on them with the 3-4. That's all he did, just flex on
They
them.
did. So yeah, I think it's a good contract for the Leafs and Matthews camp. Matthews is definitely worth that contract, and I think he's going to be playing worth to that contract for years and years. So I think there's more than just 5 years of this contract. But and why are you laughing?
I just got scared because I quickly turned on Cat Friendly. Again, shout out Cat Friendly. Great. I use it for all these podcasts. I'm always on Cat Friendly. Scared the living crap out of me when I looked on Cat Friendly and I saw like the Matthews deal kicked in, Tavares deal, and I only looked at the first year of Nylander's, and for some reason I thought he was getting paid $10.277 for all of like his 6 years or whatever.
No, it's just for the 2 years, right?
Okay, yeah, no, it's just this year.
Just this year?
Just this year.
Yep.
This year.
All right.
So honestly, next year he's back to 6.962. How did they come up with that number last day? What's the number? Okay, 6,962,366.
Basically $7 million,
Basically, but not quite.
Under the cap situation, no.
Yo, Willie, we'll give you $7 million. No, Dubas, I want $7 million. Willie, 6.9 is funnier. All right, sure. Sign the deal. Sign the deal, right? Just sign it, right?
Pen to paper.
Pen to paper right there. He's all about the memes. So, yeah, Austin Matthews, 5-year deal at 11.634 to flex on him for the next 5 seasons. A lot of Leaf fans, including myself, really would have liked to see the 8-year term.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want your superstar franchise player
locked
up for as long as he can. But the Toronto media didn't respond to this the way I thought they were. And I'm not talking like the big name people at TSN or Sportsnet or whatever. I was talking like I have a following of like 10 to 15 like Leafs Twitter pages and diehard fans that I follow that I trust, and I like to hear their opinions for it just because I've listened to their opinions for the past 3-4 years now. And honestly, they're the ones who don't really analyze things based on like logic. They're just like, I'm a Leafs fan. How do I feel about this as a Leafs fan? And I kind of like that too, because in the media all we hear is, oh, well, forget about being a Leafs fan for a second. Let's look at this from a cap perspective.
Yeah, let's look at it financial standpoint.
Financial, let's look at this for long term. Like, nah, I'm a Leafs fan. How do I feel? And everybody was kind of going like, you know what? Yeah, he's going to be a UFA when this deal expires at 26. And that's super scary. He'll be I think he'll be 27. I could be wrong. He'll be 26, around 26, 27 when this deal expires, and he's a UFA in his absolute prime. But you know who else was? Steven Stamkos.
John Tavares.
We can't use that example because it doesn't work with us. Everybody's joking around, oh, yeah. Austin Matthews, when he hits the UFA in 5 years, he's going to run back to the desert. See you, Toronto. Hello, Arizona. Go back home, right? There's a difference between the Steven Stamkos situation and the John Tavares situation, and I'll tell you what it was. Basically, the Tampa Bay Lightning provided Steven Stamkos with a team that could win. And for all the years that John Tavares was in the island, he made the playoffs, I think it was one time.
Twice.
He made the second round once. But a bunch of other times, he was gone into the season with high expectations and let down repeatedly. And he was giving bad goaltending repeatedly.
He made the playoffs 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Wow. But he had a lot of bad teams, and he could never win. And he had a much friendlier contract than Steven Stamkos. He had probably the best contract in the NHL the past couple of years with John Tavares.
Wasn't that like 5-something?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was so good financially that every time I played GM mode when I was NHL 14, I had to get John Tavares because it was like a top-line center you could pay like a third-line center.
It was like 90 overall.
It was ridiculous.
Yep.
So John Tavares, in that situation, there was so many other things going on with management, the arena, so many distractions. It almost drove him out. He just wanted to see if there was a more stable place he could just be happy with. Now, is Austin Matthews going to in 5 years from now? Is he going to go to the free agent market and listen? He may have some meetings. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some meetings. But I think John Tavares didn't have a lot of great players around him. Does Austin Matthews want to leave a team when his contract expires that's still going to have William Nylander, presumably, still have Mitch Marner,
Presumably,
still have Morgan Riley, presumably, still have Freddie Anderson will probably be.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like
Freddie Anderson will be 34. Maybe.
It's a great team. He's going to leave if he does after the 5 years, but I don't think he leaves after 5 years. Like it's the Leafs. They're going to be good for the next, I don't know, countless years.
But I think that the Leaf fans have to understand worst case scenario. Like let's imagine worst case scenario Matthews leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case, and it would drive.
That'd be a
it
blow.
Would break my heart if Austin Matthews left this team.
That'd be a big blow.
But it is a realistic fact, and you're not going to hear about it much next year or the year after that or the year after that. But when there's 2 years left on his contract and when there's 1 year left on his contract, you're going to hear it.
Especially if the Leafs aren't winning.
That's what's going to be, honest to God, that's going to be you think that John Tavares coming to Toronto was a talked about thing? You think us even getting the first overall pick was a talked about thing? You have no idea what's going to come our way when Austin Matthews has like a year left on his contract. That is going to be a hellstorm of a media
of a year for fans.
Yeah, just going to be brutal. Every single Leafs tweet is going to be, it's now the start of the season and the Leafs don't have a new contract with Austin Matthews and it expires at the end of the season and there's a rumor he doesn't want to negotiate mid-season. So what does this mean for the franchise? Do we have to trade him at the trade deadline? I don't know. No one knows. He seems to have really liked his time so far in Toronto. Mm-hmm. He likes the people.
He said it.
Just enjoy this contract. If you signed him for 8 years, that 11.634 turns into about 14.
Yeah, that's what Pierre LeBrun said on TSN.
So how do you afford Marner at that point? How do you afford Marner? If I was Kyle Dubas, it sucks because you probably could have gotten Matthews for 12.5 for 8 years if you offered it to him in the summer. But he's been better this year than he has in the first 2 years. Yeah, like he's way better. I forget about the injury. Like his point per game, his goals per game, his numbers are within the top 10 forwards of the NHL. And at 21 years old, you better believe if he was getting an 8-year contract, he's cashing at like $14 million now. At the beginning of the season, I think they could have got him at 12.5 for 8 years. And everybody would have been like, "Whoa, you're paying him Connor McDavid money?" Ladies and gentlemen, Connor McDavid's on a team-friendly contract. Believe it or not, Connor McDavid's on a team-friendly contract. Connor McDavid said himself he could have gotten more money, but he took less to help the team win, which hasn't helped yet. As the Edmonton Oilers are still a dumpster fire.
Yeah, we already talked about that. So
Austin Matthews would have gotten easily if he asked, Dubas, I'm only taking an 8-year contract, and their 14 is my number. They would have honestly probably had to give it to him. At the end of the day, they probably would have had to give it to him, and that would have really screwed up Marner. Now you get him for 5 years. The window to be, I think that they can still contend for the cup after these 5 years.
Oh, for sure.
But I think that like their extreme window to contend
with this core, so to speak.
Their window to contend with this core, and I mean like not like a team that should win the playoffs. Like literally for the next 5 years, it's basically almost Stanley Cup or bust. In my opinion, like this team is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's really good.
You look on paper, this team is ridiculous.
It's very good.
If the cap continues to rise,
I mean,
and this cap is at $90 million by the time this Matthews contract is up. Even after you sign Marner this summer, and you still have Tavares, and you still have Nylander, with this team right now, say it goes up $3 million for the next 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
$3 million. You still have Riley on his contract. You still have Kadri on his contract. You still have Anderson on his contract. Say Marner gets $10 million. Matthews still at 11.35. Even with Tavares, Marlowe's contract's gone. You get an extra 6 because of the cap rise. You can take this team minus Marlowe, still add maybe 1 or 2 $5 to $6 million players
in the next 2 years.
Yeah, in 2 years. In 2 years, if the cap continues to rise, you can add
hopefully
another top 4 defenseman. Liljegren and Sandin will still be on their entry-level deals, and they may be NHL ready.
We've seen this before in the NHL with players getting a lot of money, like Chicago.
These next 5 years are going to be incredible for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think this is like, obviously, this is probably going to be the best 5 years of my entire time being a Leafs fan in my lifetime. The same with Thomas.
If they get eliminated the first round every time, then no, but...
No, obviously. But my feeling is that you look at this team for the next 5 years and not going out in the first round every year.
It's great. It's a great team.
It's a great team. You could write a movie on the turnaround of this team from where they were 3 years ago to where it is now. Starting with the day that probably Shanahan was hired. They suck. Fire Carlisle. Hire Babcock. Suck even more. You get Matthews. You still have Marnie and Nylander. You develop them. You go on. You get Marlowe. Make the playoffs. Again.
Freddie Anderson.
Lose Boston. Yeah, obviously Freddie Anderson. Yeah. And it basically concludes with you get Tavares. You play. Maybe even in the first season Tavares is in town, they win the cup. Who knows? But to go from where they were to possibly like saying like this team, now we have Muzzin. This is a top 5 team in the NHL on paper. Now they just got to perform. And this, like, I don't think this contract hurts us as much as some people are saying it is. Matthews is 24 years old. 11.34 could be like a ridiculous steal. It could be a bit of a steal in a year or two from now.
Could.
If Matthews gets bigger and stronger over the summer, this summer, and he pots 50 goals next year because he's healthy for 82 games. 50 goals. And he's insane. A dominant player every time he touches the puck. And he's one of the, top 5 players in the league.
Well, he's played 39 games and he has 24 goals. So imagine if he wasn't injured.
Right.
He'd have 30 goals.
If he wasn't injured, yeah, he'd be at 30.
Not
only did he miss 12 games, he also went like super cold for like 12 games.
I know.
1 goal. What if he was just mediocre? What if he got like 5 goals in 12 games? Mediocre for Matthews, right? And then he was not injured and had 5 or 6 goals in those 12 games. Mm-hmm. You add another 10, 11 goals to the total. He's at, 35 now?
Yeah.
And we're not even at the 65 game mark?
Yeah.
Right?
He would have passed his first year with 40 goals for sure if he wasn't injured. At the end of the season, I'm saying. Not now.
Guys, Matthews is a good player. Stop complaining. We're going to change topics here in a second, but stop complaining about this contract. Please. It's not that bad.
It's what he's worth.
It's really not. For the next 5 years, that's actually a fair number. And we keep doubting Dubas, but he keeps doubting us. That was so worded wrong.
What do you want to say?
I don't even know. We keep doubting Dubas, and he keeps surprising us.
There you go.
Doubting us. What the heck? He keeps surprising us. He said we can and we will. He's three out of the 4 there. He's almost there. He's got 1 more to go. And he's not apparently talking in the summer. Yes. So, I mean, he's going to talk in the summer. He's not apparently talking in the season. So why are we talking about it in the season? Let the season play. Let us get into the playoffs because we're going to make the playoffs. See what we can do in the playoffs. And the moment we get eliminated, talk about Marner.
Start negotiations.
Talk about Marner.
That's what they didn't
Media,
do.
Media, go crazy. If you want to go crazy, literally 20 minutes after the Leafs get eliminated or win in the playoffs, you want to start making articles on TSN.ca, Sportsnet, The Athletic, wherever you want to write them. You want to start making articles about what's Marner's contract going to be? Fine. Let us enjoy this season. On paper, this is the best Maple Leafs team I've ever seen. And for a lot of Leaf fans, this is the best team they've ever seen.
And they're probably not done trading for players either, so.
This season, we don't know. Right? Like, this is a good team with a contract they want to move in Nikita Zaitsev.
Patty Marleau.
Patty Marleau's got 1 more year at 6.25. Even if he stays after that, which I'm not sure if I'm thrilled about, he's not going to be making nearly as much money.
Yeah, well.
This team isn't in a bad spot as you think. Let us enjoy this season. Let us enjoy the next 5 years of John Tavares and Austin Matthews being our 1-2 centermen. Yeah. What teams in the NHL would take John Tavares and Austin Matthews as their 1-2 centers? The only teams I would think that are okay with that situation or their situation being better is maybe Edmonton and maybe Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Every other team in the league wants our 1-2 centers. Everyone. So let's stop complaining and enjoy what we have because you don't know in 10 years or 15 years from now, we could be sitting here going,
we're still going to be sitting in the room?
Well, this room, I don't know. I have no idea.
Or somewhere else.
But just enjoy it. Let's
Yeah,
sit
exactly.
back and enjoy the hockey we're seeing.
The financial things about this. Matthew's a good player. Leafs know what they're doing.
I love looking at the sound bars on our podcast here.
It's kind of different.
You need to talk more.
Let me talk then.
Go.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, go.
Are we still talking about the Leafs?
Yeah, go.
All right. Well, I'm kind of scared that Marner's not talking at all during the season. It's kind of scary, but I mean, if they're going to leave it to the summer, fine. If they're going to get a deal done like they did with Nylander, took them 5 months to do with Nylander, so that was kind of scary. But I think Marner gets done. Beginning of the season, before the season, he would have probably got, I don't know, what would you say, neighborhood of 8 to 9 at the
8.5
before the season.
Honestly, 8.5 would have probably been a fine number.
And now look at him now. People are saying Matthews' contract. So it's kind of nerve-wracking because we're not going to fit that in the cap. But I think he makes 10.5, which is suitable for our team going in the future.
How many years at 10.5?
8 years. I think he signs the 8 years. But it's kind of nerve-wracking going into the summer negotiating with this guy, especially what happened with Nylander and crap. So
I have a photo here. The notable upcoming RFAs, the top 5 notable upcoming RFAs here that are still unsigned. So this doesn't include Matthews now. Number 1 is Mikko Rantanen. He has 74 points this year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not going to get an offer sheet because he doesn't play for the Leafs. Braden Point, 66 points.
Oh my God.
He's not going to get an offer sheet because he doesn't play for the Leafs. Mitch Marner, 65 points. Surefire bet to get an offer sheet, right? Because he plays for the Maple Leafs. Sebastian Aho,
unbelievable season.
60 points. Arguably by far the best forward that the Carolina Hurricanes have. I can't talk. 60 points. No way he gets offer sheeted, right? Nah, you can't offer sheet Sebastian Aho.
Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah. 57 points.
Solid.
Plays on a Canadian team, but no way he gets offer sheeted, right? Why is Austin?
Why is it our team?
Marner the only one that can get offer sheeted this summer? Well, every team's planning an offer sheet for Mitch Marner. That's cool. What about Mikko Rantanen?
Yeah, exactly.
There's an argument for me that Mikko Rantanen might be harder to sign than Mitch Marner because I think he might make more money because he's a bigger body.
And he might be the most...
He has 10 points more than Mitch Marner.
He's goal scorer.
Can't break up that line in Colorado. It's too good.
They actually have, and it's not working at all, but...
Right? But Mitch Marner, offer sheeted, guaranteed. Thanks, media.
But
I don't know.
With that Matthews contract, it affects all the RFAs now. It does.
I'm not saying Mitch Marner won't get offer sheeted if he's available July 1st. I think there's a good chance he will. But everybody has to understand that there's also one of the best RFA groups we've ever seen here, with Braden Point, with Mikko Rantanen, with Matthew Tkachuk, with Sebastian Aho.
Yeah, it's unreal.
And I know we're in Toronto, and we probably hear a lot more Toronto media, but I don't hear many people talking about those guys. I don't. And Tampa's cap situation,
it
ain't pretty.
It's not pretty at all.
It ain't pretty, guys.
No.
It really ain't. How do they fit Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, Vasilevsky, Hedman? They just signed McDonough. You got JT Miller still
locked up as well.
How do you do it?
Want to pull that up? I'll give you some time to pull it up. Yeah.
Talk while I pull it up.
Point, on any other team, not any other team, if they didn't have the cap situation they have, the Lightning right now, Point would be making, I don't know, $10 million. He has 30 goals, plays the power play. What can go wrong with that guy? I mean...
Okay.
Now you have it up.
The projected cap space that the Tampa Bay Lightning will have this offseason, 6.3.
Cap space.
Cap space. With the contracts they have right now, if the cap rises $3 million...
Okay, that doesn't help with the Point contract.
That's 9.3. If the cap goes up $3 million. $3 million is a fair bet. It could go up 2, it could go up 4. We don't know. 9.3 would probably be where we're at if the upper limit is $82 million to $83 million. But...
Point can arguably make...
Point is not the only
exactly
RFA or UFA on this team. You still need to get depth scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric Paquette. He's in for a raise of the $1 million he's making.
Not much, but yeah.
Adam Ernie, But yeah, this Braden Point kid, he's pretty good. Anton Strawman, Braden Colburn, Dan Girardi.
I mean, they walk, but maybe they bring someone up from the minors on cheaper or sign someone off season.
You have those guys. You can't lose 3 out of your top 5 defensemen.
No, that's...
Right? If they walk, who are you going to replace them with?
Could go on the market, could go...
Right? You have Victor Hedman, Ryan McDonough. You have Mikhail Sergachev for another year at his entry-level deal. But you can't have 3 good defensemen. If you want to win the Stanley Cup, you need 6 defensemen.
That's why they're doing it now.
Right? So you can't afford to lose Anton Strawman, Braden Coburn, and Dan Girardi and not replace them with people. You're going to have to spend some money there. Am I right?
You're right.
You also have to look
Next
2 years down the road. Next year. Next year, you have Mikhail Sergachev expiring. You also have Andrei Vasilevsky expiring, and he's making 30.5.
Yeah, good luck.
If he has another season like he's having this year, this guy's going to make upwards of $8 million.
But they won't, because Tampa will convince them that, you want to win here, take a cheaper contract.
The Ryan Callahan expiring at 5.8 is going to be very nice for them next year.
Wait, next year?
Yeah.
See, I heard rumors that they're going to trade a first-round pick and Callahan's contract just to free up that.
Could be. You could do that. You could send him to a team like Arizona, who just needs to hit the cap floor. Not that Ryan McDonough is terrible. He also has a no-move clause, a modified no-trade clause, which doesn't help, right?
Nope.
But
it's going to be tough for the Tampa Bay Lightning to fit all this.
The Tampa Bay Lightning,
But they will.
You can see things how the Tampa Bay Lightning might maneuver this, but you can also see that with Toronto, right?
I think Tampa's...
Toronto, Dubas isn't a dumb guy.
I don't think he is.
We're not sitting here and looking at this cap situation and not seeing something that Dubas doesn't see. Or seeing something Dubas doesn't see. Everything we see here, Dubas has gone over it 80,000 more times than we have with his team. And they know what they're doing. And so did the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they have a plan. And we can sit here and go, this isn't going to work. They have a plan. Let them try to do their plan.
Yeah, GMs aren't stupid.
They probably have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, and plan E. They got them all.
The whole alphabet.
Basically. A to Z, they have a plan, and they're going to try to figure something out. All right, we talked about RFAs for a while. Let's move on. We got 2 more topics to talk about, everybody. Stay with us. We're going to have some fun. And then I have a Tim Hortons cup, and I will at some point roll up the rim on this podcast and hopefully win a car.
You're going to do it at the end?
Yeah, probably. I'm not done
If you win a car?
I'm going to take a couple sips. You introduce the next trade.
The next trade?
Yeah.
Oh, the Brian Boyle to Nashville and Cody McLeod to Nashville as well. So they get 2 depth guys. They already had Cody McLeod, I think, last year, so they're reacquiring him. They got a 7th-round pick traded away from them, and they traded a 2nd to New Jersey for Brian Boyle. So those are 2 depth acquisitions for the Nashville Predators as they're butthurt with injuries. Turris was injured, and he plays center, so I think Boyle steps in there just fine at the third-line center role. And they move on. So they get depth. They get big players that can hit during the playoffs. But I don't know if that's the way to go against the Jets and Colorado and those fast teams in the West to get big, slower guys. But that's what the Nashville Predators are ending up doing. Austin Watson out indefinitely with a suspension and whatnot. What was it for? Domestic abuse or whatever?
Domestic abuse or something. Or no, I think he's in rehab now.
Phase 2 or something?
I think he's in rehab now.
But yeah, they definitely acquired 2 big guys that will help a lot with hitting and toughness on their forward group. So that's what they acquired. Have you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I'm going to make a bold prediction for the trade deadline here. I think it's one of Winnipeg or Nashville. And if Duchesne doesn't sign in Ottawa, Duchesne will be on Nashville or Winnipeg. It's one of those 2, in my opinion.
I think so.
I think Duchesne's going to come here. I think that this team has the assets to trade. They still have their 1st-round pick. Let's say they trade that 1st-round pick this year. Fits into what Ottawa wants to do. Get a 1st-round pick. Do you trade a 1st-round pick and Ryan Hartman? Okay.
Who they just acquired last year for a 1st-round pick.
Yeah. But you get Matt Duchesne. A team like Nashville's had too many times where they get close to the cup final and they can't do it. They can't do it. They're so close and they don't come through. You want to give your team stupid amount of depth. You want this team to have a first line center on your third line if you could.
Yeah, that wouldn't be
Right?
bad. That wouldn't be bad at all.
Imagine like 3 centers. Imagine your 4 centers in the playoffs being Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, Kyle Turris, Brian Boyle.
Nick Bonino.
Nick Bonino slides over to the. Actually, Boyle can play the left wing.
Yeah.
So say Bonino's your 4th line center. Boyle goes over to the wing. And look, and you have all those centers. Who are your wingers? I'll tell you who your wingers are. Your wingers are. Listen up.
Don't pronounce the names
Philip
wrong.
Forsberg, good winger. Craig Smith, he's a good winger. Victor Arvidsson, oh yeah, he's pretty good. Calle Yarncrook, great player. Kevin Fiala, he scored 20 goals last season.
Yeah, he's not doing very good this year.
Not quite this year.
No.
But you know he can score it. You got Cody McLeod. Colton Sissons.
Excellent player. Colton Sisson is.
Rocco Grimaldi.
Grimaldi, there you go.
Grimaldi, whatever. You have some wingers to play with these guys. And then you put those 4 centers through the middle. Wow. And how is their defense?
It's perfectly fine the way it is.
Who are their top 4 defensemen there, Thomas?
Roman Josi, Ryan Ellis, Matthias Ekholm, and PK Subban. It's not too shabby, eh? And then who do they have in that? That guy, Pecorine, the wall.
Like, they also have, if Pecorine goes down, they also have a pretty decent backup in UC Saros.
Very
Guys, this team is ridiculous.
It's good.
This team is my favorite to win the Stanley Cup. No, they're not. Tampa is. They're my favorite to come out of the West.
The West, yeah.
I think they're my favorite to come out of the West. And if they got Matt Duchene, there's an argument there that I think they're better than Tampa. I honestly think that they could be better than Tampa if you get Matt Duchene. You take away Ryan Hartman, you give up a first, heck, give up a second next year. This is the year. Go all in. You have some amazing players on some ridiculously cheap contracts. Ryan Ellis' 6.25 is going to kick in next year. If you can't afford Matt Duchene, that sucks. But if you bring Matt Duchene in for Ryan Hartman in a first-round pick, and he comes in right for this season, and he helps you win a Stanley Cup,
it's worth it.
Who cares?
It's worth, like you said on the first podcast, who cares? You're going to win.
You guys understand that, like, the point to play each year is to win the Stanley Cup. And a team like Nashville, your priority right now should be winning a cup this year. Most of their team is intact for next year. Who are their big UFAs? Brian Boyle.
He walks.
Right? Calle Yarncrook's still making $2 million for the next 3 seasons. Holy cow. Kevin Fiala not having a great year. He doesn't have a lot of negotiation.
Is he an RFA?
He's an RFA.
How much he's on an entry?
Kevin Fiala?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still making $863K.
See, I don't think he goes up that much.
Right?
He's having a terrible season.
All 7 of their defensemen are on a contract for next year. All 7. And everyone's staying the same except Ryan Ellis gets bumped up about $4 million. Right? So you have $6 million of cap space right now. Basically, it goes to Ryan Ellis next year. But this year, you have $6 million of cap space still.
Go out and get someone.
Go out and get somebody. Yeah. And we don't need help at center. Yeah, you can always have better centers. You can always upgrade.
There's always a spot
Duchene
for that.
can play the wing. He's played the wing before, and I know that. He's an amazing skater. That's something I think that they should look at. Now, Winnipeg at the same time, because you know Nashville's going to be right in a battle with Winnipeg.
Whatever one does, the other one's going to do. So
right? So this Cody McLeod and Brian Boyle, they're just to strengthen up their bottom 6. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. Let's make this a 4-line team that can play 4 lines in the playoffs. Brian Boyle, big body. You're going to like that against Winnipeg in round 2. Yep. You're going to like that. Cody McLeod, big body. You're going to like that in round 2 against Winnipeg. And Winnipeg's thinking the same thing. All right. All GMs say you're not going to make a move because another team makes a move.
They do.
But there's no in the entire NHL. I don't think there's more of like a given second round matchup than this one right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably going to happen, guys.
Same division.
If I bet a lot of money, if I was a betting player in sports, I do the occasional pro line. But if I like to bet on a lot of sports, I would throw $50 down on Winnipeg and Nashville second round matchup again.
Or in any round.
I would do that more likely than Toronto, Boston, or Pittsburgh, Washington, or San Jose, Calgary, which all the other that's all the other projected second round matchups. But this is the one that I think is way more likely to happen than any of those. I can't see either of these teams getting upset in the first round. They both have good playoff experience. They're both heavy, big, fast teams. And in the second round, I think the Leafs got eliminated the first round last year, which broke my heart. But I think this was the only second round matchup I watched every game of. This series was great. It should be the Western Conference Final, but thanks to Gary Bettman and the men upstairs, it can't be.
Another conversation for another day, but
another conversation for another day. I actually just wrote an article for a sports class on that. But this is going to be a great series, and I think Winnipeg has to respond somehow. But I think if you're Nashville or Winnipeg, Matt Duchene from the Ottawa Senators, if he doesn't sign, somebody you got to look at.
Yeah, I'm sure Winnipeg's looking at some players to acquire.
Again, I talked a little too much. Break it down. Break it down a little bit, Thomas.
But the two teams now?
I rant a lot. You got to rant. No, just rant about the trade. Rant about what this means. Rant about whatever you want.
Well, no, they acquired Cody McLeod, I think, also because Zach Ronaldo's out for the rest of the year, I'm pretty sure, on an injury. I don't know what injury it is, but he's out for long term. And, Nashville needs some goal scoring. I've had many players on my fantasy team, Ryan Johansson and Fiala, and they're not really getting a lot of points consistently, and I think they just want to acquire someone who's going to get points consistently and upgrade their power play because it has not been good this season, especially with all the talent they have.
Nice mic hit there.
Yeah, that was my fault. Sorry.
I drafted Fiala in my fantasy team, and he was dropped about a month into the season after one goal.
I still have him.
No, I dropped him. I
have faith in him, but, he's on the second unit.
I found Michael Ferland, and I was like, I like him.
Yeah, that's a steal of a pickup. But yeah, Winnipeg versus Nashville could be a great series, and I see Nashville coming out of it just because of last year. They want to get revenge, but they just broke down in that Game 7 last year, and I feel like they're not going to do that this time.
Yeah, they did. All right, we got less than 10 minutes. We want to keep this a little bit less than 10 minutes here for the next 6-7 minutes. We got one more topic we want to talk about.
Uh-oh.
And it's the amazing season that a certain team in the Western Conference is having lately. And that
Anaheim
team is the Anaheim Ducks. Thomas said it first. The Anaheim Ducks. Now, guys, let me see if I still have this photo.
Check it out.
Yeah, I do. It's a great photo. Ready?
Is it their last games?
Yeah. So, this is the record of the Anaheim Ducks last, probably 20 games. Ready for this? You ready?
All right, go ahead.
Rangers lost, Boston lost, Buffalo lost, San Jose lost, Arizona lost, Tampa lost, Vegas lost, Edmonton lost, Ottawa lost, Pittsburgh lost, Winnipeg lost, Detroit lost, Minnesota, big win. New Jersey, big win. 2-game winning streak. You ready to heat up?
Got their confidence up.
Nope. After the 2 wins against Winnipeg, 2 wins against Minnesota, New Jersey, Islanders lost, St. Louis lost, Winnipeg 9-3.
6 goals in the first.
I wasn't watching. I was at the Leafs game, and I was with my coworkers, and we're in our a little office room, and we are busting a gut laughing because I checked my phone in the first intermission, and I'm like 6-0. Winnipeg's winning 6-0 against who? Anaheim.
What a surprise!
They lose 9-3 that game. They go into Toronto 2 nights later. 6-1 they lose. Then the other night they're in Montreal.
Trying to have a bounce-back game.
They lose.
4-1.
I didn't count the losses there. But they've won 2 out of their last 22 games, I think. Maybe 20.
It doesn't matter. That's
something
embarrassing.
Like that is that's just ridiculous.
That's not good at all.
And they have right now less than $1 million of cap space to do stuff. They're right up against the cap. They're right up against it. Corey Perry's making 8.625. Thomas, can you do me a favor and pull up the stats of Corey Perry?
I'm gonna try and pull them up. Hold on.
He's gonna. You
can't do that on Cap Friendly.
It's just I don't want to leave this
page. Oh, you don't want to leave the page.
Just go to stats for the Anaheim Ducks.
Okay, hold on a second.
I'm gonna give you some names.
Take over for a second.
I'm gonna give you some names. I want you to just give me what their numbers are, and we'll just look at how bad this team is playing right now and how bad of the situation they're in.
Well, he just came back from injury, so I mean.
What are his numbers?
Hold on a second.
The internet is fast here, man.
I'm trying. Hold on.
John Gibson. Nothing should be taken away from John Gibson. He's having a tremendous season, and he's only making $2.3 million.
So you want me to say one?
Yeah. So what is Corey Perry's stats for the year?
Well, no, he just played he has 3 games played. He has 1 point.
That's all he's played this year?
Yeah, he just came back from injury.
Ryan Getzlaf.
34 points in 48 games.
Okay, so he's not playing that bad. But at 8.25?
And he's a minus 17, so he's definitely a big part of that
Ryan
losing.
Kessler.
Oh, my God. All the way at the bottom. Well, yes.
What?
46 games played, 6 points, minus 17.
Great. And he's making 6.875 for another 3 years. Fantastic. What is Adam Henrique doing in his first full season with the Anaheim Ducks?
It's not bad. He has like 27 points in 54 games, so not horrible.
27 points in 54 games. You know what?
It's not horrible.
$4 million. You would like to see him in 30 points?
Yeah.
It's not brutal. What's Rickard Rakell doing?
25 points in 41 games, minus 15.
The minuses aren't great because the team's letting in a lot of goals. But, again, points aren't terrible. He's making 3.7889 for another 3 seasons. He's playing the way he's getting paid. Patrick Eaves, actually. Give me what Patrick Eaves is doing.
Patrick Eaves, 0 points in 7 games. He was also injured.
He's injured, yeah.
Yeah.
He also has a no-move clause and still making over $3 million next year.
How old is he, Patrick
34. Eaves? Devin Shore, what's he doing?
Okay, well, he was just acquired like not too long ago, but he's played 8 games, 3 points, so not horrible. But
okay. Cam Fowler, Hampus Lindholm, Josh Manson, Brandon Montour. That's a top 4 that you should be happy about.
Yeah, it's not.
And they're playing brutal.
Hampus Lindholm's struggling this year.
I understand that Corey Perry missed a lot this season. I understand that John Gibson's standing on his head without a lot of defensive help.
Not at all.
But it's not really the players on this team. I don't think this is a bad team. There's a lot of teams in the NHL that are in a worse situation than the Anaheim Ducks. Guys, it's the coach.
Randy Carlyle.
It's Randy Carlyle.
Good one, Randy. Good one.
Like, this is the issue here. We're Leaf fans. We know Randy Carlyle's style.
Very, very well.
You knew his style, and you rehired him. His style does not win games consistently. His style is, okay, we're gonna get hot offensively, and we're gonna win 6 games in a row, and we're gonna score 6 goals a game, and we're gonna be great.
Crash and bang hockey.
But it's just running gun hockey, actually.
Yeah, that.
And it's not consistent. You no way you're gonna win in the playoffs by having terrible possession numbers. And every 5 minutes or so, you get out 2-on-1, you try to score.
Yeah.
It doesn't consistently work, and this catching up to them. They're trying to, get the perfect offensive play, and they're not paying super much, a ton of attention to detail in the defensive end. It's going to bite you guys. So
they're only considering that we keep talking about Edmonton, how they're really. It's like a debacle there in Anaheim. They're only 3 points out of the playoffs.
No, they're
so
not. You can thank John Gibson for that.
Yeah,
you can thank John Gibson 100% for that, because without John Gibson, you're not even close to a playoff spot. So, I think that the first thing that Anaheim needs to worry about is just fire Carlisle. I don't like to say, I don't wish firing upon many coaches, but he's not an NHL caliber coach. He may know the game well. His style doesn't suit today's NHL at all. Now, before we go.
Gonna roll up the rim to win.
So all this noise you hear is just me rolling up the rim. So please play again. Awesome.
What a suspenseful
Fantastic.
time for nothing.
I got that before the podcast started, and I was really excited to open it.
Win something.
At least win a coffee or something,
donut.
Man. Damn it. All right, 0 for 2, roll up the rim to win. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to call it. We talked about the Pittsburgh, Florida trade. We talked about Austin Matthews. We talked about the Brian Boyle to Nashville trade. And we talked about how terrible the Anaheim Ducks have been so far this season. And that's going to do it for not just this week, but we're actually going to be gone a couple weeks now. Next week, I'm not available to do Thursday.
Maybe we fill in a void with someone else.
Possibly. We're in discussion, but we haven't decided yet. I'll at least be gone for 2 weeks guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because the following week after next week, I'm in Cuba.
Have a nice trip.
I will have a nice trip. I will be tentatively looking at my Instagram feed, because I think Instagram works in Cuba, to see if there's any big news in the AHL. And when we get back, we'll hopefully bring you guys, as soon as we can, a trade deadline recap podcast.
Yep. I'm off to Montreal to see Leafs versus Habs this weekend.
This Saturday.
Hockey day in Canada,
Yeah,
baby.
you're going to have a great time over there. I will be watching it from the comforts of my house.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
That's great. Anyway, guys, thank you all for listening. We will be back as soon as we can, whether with me or with somebody else. We don't know.
We'll definitely be back in 3 weeks, me and you together.
Yeah, minimum 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So hope you guys enjoy all the rumors coming up to trade deadline day. It's silly season in the regular season. Silly season's really like summertime.
Yep.
But for the regular season, this is the silliest it's going to get. Enjoy it. Enjoy the trades. Enjoy the rumors. We wish nothing but the best upon your team, unless they are the Boston Bruins.
Or the Montreal Canadiens.
Or the Montreal Canadiens right now, because we don't like those
It's
teams.
Montreal.
Anyway, guys, take care. We'll see you again next time.